The roller coaster of the New York Knicks finally going in the right direction after we get big back-to-back wins against the Chicago Bulls on Sunday. Chicago Bulls? It did sound like I said Bills, right? Against the Chicago Bulls on Sunday.
What's
wrong with him?
The Chicago Bulls on Sunday. And then against the 1-5 Washington Wizards. A big happy moment for the New York Knicks, as it just seemed like things were going off the rails. But more importantly, the New York Knicks are 4-0 at home, protecting home court. But there's a lot of things still being figured out rotation-wise. Mike Brown right now seems to be getting some ridicule about not being able to stick to a rotation, and he is aware of that and addresses it. And what's going on with Mitchell Robinson? We knew he wasn't going to play in the second of a back-to-back against the Wizards due to the workload management, but we saw him tweak his ankle again in the game against the Bulls. Luckily went back out there and played, but it's raising a lot of question amongst Knicks fans. Is it time to move on from Mitch? A lot to celebrate, big wins, but still some things we need to consider. Let's get into all of the conversation. Run the intro. What's going on, CK Cruiser Boy, CK2K? Welcome back to another video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell. Don't forget to like this video. Guys, we have been live and killing it at the play-by-play right here and on Knicks Fan TV. So make sure you're subbed here or you're paying attention over on KFTV to see where we will be live. I will be live for every game this season, regardless of the channel, except for Christmas. I'm sorry, I can't make the Christmas game, so it's all 81. But we've been having a lot of fun. If you haven't been at the play-by-play, make sure you tap in tomorrow for the game against the Timberwolves. But before we can even think about the Timberwolves, let's talk about the way the Knicks turned things around, because Friday night we struggled against, at the time, one of the remaining undefeated teams in the NBA in the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls have been doing such a good job at playing in transition, second chance opportunity, shooting the three ball, and you know, Josh Giddey has looked like a monster throughout this entire season, and they definitely got the better of us in that game Friday, where the Knicks needed to quickly turn things around on Sunday, which we did. The difference here in this one is that Friday game was a cup game and it was away, as the Knicks now are 0-3. So that's a conversation we could probably talk about when we get a bigger sample size, not being able to handle games away from the Garden. But also in that same breath, there was a conversation for seasons that the New York Knicks could not handle games at home because of the pressure. But right now we're 4-0. So I choose to look at things half full as we handle business at home, taking care of this same team that was undefeated, giving them their first loss on Sunday, and then also following up a big game against that team and handling business against a squandering team in the start of this season. And I say that with peace and love, but we know the New York Knicks in the past have had a hard time handling business against teams at the quote-unquote bottom of the barrel. This is one of those times where the New York Knicks needed to handle business, and it looked shaky in the first quarter, but we definitely handled it. We could talk about who said what and who had what kind of game and stuff like that, but right now I feel like there's a few things that are being circled around the Knicks up and down start. Right now we are 4-3, and I feel like in the same way that we have been giving praise to Mike Brown, myself included, I'm a huge fan of how Mike Brown has been handling it. There's some people that are a little worrisome. They're still in the Tom Thibodeau era, so they're not entirely bought in on how often Mike Brown goes to the bench. So there has been some ridicule towards Mike Brown, and he's aware. While asked about it at the desk, this is what he responded to his decisions with the rotation.
It starts with me because I got to help him. You know, with Josh coming back, with Mitch coming back, with, you know, the different things that those guys present in terms of minutes and all that, I didn't help him a ton the last couple of games. You know, I was all over the map with the substitutions. And so it was hard for those guys to get a rhythm, because the guy's going in, he's coming out, he's going in, he's coming out. And so, you know, I have to do a better job, and I thought I did tonight, of trying to have a rotation and stick with it while still playing, you know, 9 and a half, 10 guys. And so I have to help them continue to get comfortable in that area, because we have guys that can come off the bench and make plays and knock down shots.
So yeah, look, man, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm gonna say it again. This is the part of the season where he should be experimenting. I'm not really thrilled about the idea of having to have a rotation set. In that game on Friday, I feel like Mike Brown did a good job at playing the players that he wanted to try out in that first half, and then in the second half, for the lack of a better phrase, cutting the fat. It felt like we saw Tyler Kolek out of the rotation, Jordan Clarkson, we saw him way more limited, and the Knicks made a run. Obviously, we came up short, but we came up with a good run in that second half, almost getting the comeback victory, and a lot of that came to Mike Brown figuring out what was working within the game. Again, something that is still very new for Knicks fans to see, especially within the last few seasons. So, you know, this is the time of the year for him to try out that roster, because then on Sunday and Monday, completely different output. We saw Tyler Kolek out of the rotation. We saw Huck out of rotation. We saw less minutes from Gershon Yabusele in both of those games. And, you know, that's probably the right decision to be made. And right now it feels like he said, he's found that 10-man group, 9-man group that he's willing to stick with and try other things out. I'm also loving Shamet in the starting lineup as opposed to Deuce, because Deuce came back for the first time after missing a few games. And Deuce, you know, I said it loud and clear a few videos ago, I'm looking for Deuce McBride to be a 13, 15 point per game scorer. And since he's returned, he's looking back to the mediocre way where it just feels like it's been up and down with Deuce McBride. In this point of his career, we're going to need him to take that step. But I officially said he's going to be our 6th man. And with Jordan Clarkson having the outputs he had both on Sunday against Chicago and then yesterday against the Washington Wizards, Jordan Clarkson's coming for that 6th man spot. If Deuce is not going to step up to the plate and take it, there's a reason why he was not starting. But what are your thoughts about Mike Brown and the rotations? Are you one of the people that are worried about the rotations, or are you like me? You like that he's mixing it up. This is the time to mix it up. Try things, see who works with who, see what doesn't work, see who doesn't deserve the minutes. This is the time to do it. I think Mike Brown is doing a great job with it. The timing issues I had with who played and at what time, but for the most part, now is the time to do all that. I'm not tripping. What says you about the rotations? But other than rotations, F all that, it's nice to see guys turning things around. Karl-Anthony Towns, who's been up and down throughout the season with this stat line, looked phenomenal in the game against the Washington Wizards. Definitely turned things around, asserted himself, especially against a young and upcoming very solid defensive big in Alexander Sarr, putting him on a poster not once, but 2 times. Like we've been saying, he's been dealing with the quad injury, and you can see he's been playing through the discomfort. And in the game against Chicago, and a lot more so in the game against Washington, we definitely saw him turn around. I'm really keeping my eye on how he looks in this game against Minnesota, because we know about the matchups in plural that he's going to have with his old friend Naz Reid, and also in one of our old friends, Julius Randle. And I'm really curious to see how he looks in that matchup. But Karl-Anthony Towns definitely turned things around. We love seeing the big bodega, but we need it more consistently from Mr. Towns.
Cat was a monster. He was a monster on the glass. He was really good defensively. He was a monster inside, outside. You know, he's starting to feel and find his rhythm in what we're trying to do. And but I'm telling you, there's still a lot of room there to grow, not just for him, but for us to learn him, starting with me, and us to continue learning the different points or parts of what we're trying to do offensively. He's a monster.
I also want to point out Josh Hart. Josh Hart, who is dealing with a herniated disc, came out that he has nerve damage in his hand, not just in the finger. It was almost becoming not an excuse, but to a point where we were like, you know what, if Josh Hart does not look good right now, then it is what it is. He's dealing with some crazy issues. And it's crazy because then he ended up playing his best basketball since that news came out. Sunday, he looked great. It was really nice to see Josh Hart back to the level of Hart that we saw, the hustle Hart that a lot of us like to call him. Both nights looked really solid.
Thought in the second half, our low man was extremely active. It was led by Josh. Josh had a heck of a game defensively. He guarded all types of guys, from C.J. McCollum to Sarr at times. And he was our defensive player of the game. He more than deserved it because of his activity, his awareness throughout the course of the entire ball game. And then he had 10 defensive rebounds.
The three-point ball was falling for him. He was getting more confident to shoot. He's getting confident again attacking the rim, because, you know, when Josh Hart puts his head to the ground and goes to the basket, it's really hard to stop him. All of this is to say, you know, we could talk about OG Anunoby and his phenomenal 5 steals, which is crazy. Mikal Bridges, again, who has been steady all season long, adding another great defensive night. All of this is just to say that this is why I try and talk Knicks fans off of a ledge, especially with everything that we have circled around us at this point in the season. I try to talk you guys off of a ledge on the worry. It's fine to have some concern. It's fine to be a little bit, you know, on the fence with how things are going. But to jump off the cliff the way that we did at that point when we went down to 2-3, to me was a little bit comedic, if you ask me, because there's so many factors to this team right now that needs to be figured out. The rotations, as we talked about with Mike Brown, still figuring out this new look offense, which, as you saw in these last 2 games, when it's working, it is damn near unstoppable, especially when you pair it along with the defense that we saw. Everybody was a part of the active hands. Josh Hart, who has been killed by me, especially about his defensive abilities, looked awesome defensively against Washington. Even Towns got in on the defensive action. Brunson out here getting loose ball steals. Those are the kind of things that we're slowly starting to see this master plan of Mike Brown slowly come together. It's nowhere near ready yet. We're still barely in November, but you're seeing the foundation of what could make this basketball team really, really scary. I feel like outside of us still getting the defense together, because I still feel like it's a little too easy to score on us in the paint with Mitchell Robinson not in it, but we're slowly putting the defense side together. The next step is consistency off of the bench. I love what Jordan Clarkson did in the last 2 games. Deuce, though, I cannot say it's enough. And this is from someone who is a Deuce fan. I am ready to hit the send button on a Deuce McBride jersey. But at the same time, I need Deuce to also take that next step. This is the year that he should be averaging double digits. There's no reason why Deuce should not have been considered in the starting 5. Love what Landry Shamet is doing, because Landry Shamet is stealing and earning that spot in the starting 5, but Deuce should have been in that conversation. So I need him to step up if he's going to be on that bench to help the defensive side. But more importantly, I need him to not be scared to find his own shot. We know the abilities and the capabilities that Deuce McBride has on the offensive end. Need that to be more consistent. Yabusele, I'm still waiting to see which version of him we're going to get, because he's given us some good moments in little things, but the grand scheme, the thing that we signed him on to be, I feel like he's been really inconsistent with that. So right now, as we're building that defensive foundation as a whole, I still feel like we're not there yet. And at the same time, the offensive side, I feel like we're starting to buy in on that pass first mentality, moving quick, fast pace, getting transition buckets, second chance opportunities. I feel like that's coming together, but the bench to me is the biggest key. Once we get those guys that are more than capable to get it together, this team is going to be scary when we're talking about Knicks basketball come February, March, April. That's what we're building right now to get to before the playoffs. But it's all a journey. It's all going to be a process. Let me know your thoughts about this New York Knicks team. I know there are people that are on all fence, and don't be scared. If you are still truthfully not a believer of what this team could be, don't be scared. I want to hear you. I want to hear what you have to say. What are your thoughts about what you think the New York Knicks can be? Do you see the vision of what this team can be through the small sample size in our wins, or are you too caught up on the sample size of what have caused our losses in those games? Let me know your thoughts about the vision of this team and where we are at. Big win for the New York Knicks. Had a lot of fun in the play-by-play. Hopefully you guys can be a part of it as we play tomorrow against the Minnesota Timberwolves. This time it will be again on my channel. I will let you guys know again next time it is on KFTV. But if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Don't forget to like this video. I'm out of here, man. I will see you guys in the comment section. All right, so make sure you comment. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. See you guys tomorrow for the live, and then again on Thursday. I'm out of here. Peace.